Hello there, my name is Keith Begg and I am founder of Media Watchdogs of Sweden. We set the group up in April of 2020, and the whole idea was to set it up was that it became very apparent very quickly that the Swedish government and the Swedish Public Health Authority were not following international scientific consensus, and they were also ignoring the advice of the WHO, the ECDC. So in line with that, there was also a failure of the Swedish media to call out or criticize the scientific decisions being made at the time. So we decided, or I decided, that basically this couldn't go on. The Swedish media had benefited from a bailout of 700 million Swedish kroner at a time when hospital staff were being denied masks and elderly care homes were devoid of oxygen supplies. So we were having very, very little success in canvassing the Swedish politicians, the health service, and the experts aligned to the Swedish strategy. In fact, we were totally ignored. Many of us were bullied and threatened. So we decided, and this is where our success maybe might lie in, that we decided that we needed to escalate scientific and also information and fact-checking to international media, because, as I said, we were totally ignored by the Swedish authorities and the Swedish system. So we went out from all over the world to North America, to Europe, even to Australia, and we did interviews, we wrote articles, we had articles published in a way to try and to pressurize the Swedish government and the Swedish authorities, especially the health authorities, to change course. Thousands of people died in Sweden in the spring of 2020, and many of them were not tested, and Sweden had one of the lowest testing rates in the OECD. And the big issue, and one of the biggest modus operandi for me is to challenge the constant gaslighting, the data manipulation, and also the lies that have been perpetrated by the Swedish government and the health authority, who have only been concerned with protecting the economy, but also protecting the image, which has become very, very apparent. So while we haven't succeeded in Sweden, we kind of knew that we were we were being stonewalled. So instead of sitting down and not doing anything, we decided to escalate our campaigns through professional means to international media. And I would say that was our greatest success. And also quite sad, because we realized nothing would change in Sweden unless we took measures to bring the world's attention to what was happening in Sweden. So I wish you all the best in the summit, and it's great, and I appreciate it for being given a few minutes just to tell a little bit about our story. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Roger from Sweden. I started out on Facebook with advocating for face masks, which was not the most popular thing you can do in Sweden. Today I'm in Zero COVID Nordic, and I'm active on Twitter. We try to debunk all the myths and give people information about how to protect themselves, debunking the misinformation from the governments, as well as from the Swedish CDC, which are giving both dangerous and unscientific advices. Our biggest achievements, I would say, is that we actually have been helping some people that have not been allowed to wear face masks on the workplace. And another big achievement, I say, is that we have a really great cooperation with Media Watchdogs of Sweden, Save Sweden COVID-19, and the Facebook group Dr. Whistleblower. By having this cooperation, we can reach out to much more people. So I think that's a great thing. And the Zero COVID Nordic group is growing steadily, actually. So I think there is more and more people that are getting aware of how wrong the Swedish approach is. So I want to thank you for being invited to this summit, and a special thank you to Jan Geer. I truly think you are a great person. And with that, me and Zero COVID Nordic want to wish you all a great summit. Thank you and bye.
Hi, my name is Andrea Rodrigues, and I am one of the co-founders of Save Sweden COVID-19, which is a network that has been basically fighting to change the Swedish strategy throughout the whole pandemic. And we started quite early in 2020, already during the first wave, because we understood that the way that the Swedish authorities and the Swedish government were dealing, if we can say dealing with the pandemic, they were actually just ignoring it in many ways. We understood that it was a recipe for disaster, and since the ECDC and the World Health Organization's guidelines were not being followed at all in Sweden, and so many other problems were happening, including many elderly being euthanized. We basically just felt this urge to raise our voices for what is right. And even though we had no hopes basically since the beginning, we decided to go for it anyway. And basically our way of fighting against the strategy was through protesting. And we did that in several cities, in Stockholm and Gothenburg and other cities, to show that there were some people who were actually against what was happening. And basically we didn't have so much success when it comes to the Swedish media or any contact with Swedish authorities or really anyone in power here in Sweden. They basically just ignored us. But the thing is that we at least created a discussion, because we put the truth out there together with Newas also and many other great groups that we work together with. We managed to put the truth out there, and that started a discussion. And that is, I think, in my opinion, it's our biggest success, because if there were no groups like Save Sweden, for example, and so many others, there would be no record of anyone being opposed to this strategy. Basically, it would just be apathy, everyone just ignoring it and being in denial until it's way too late. So, and of course in Sweden a lot of things have changed since the beginning. We will never know how much we contributed to that. Some guidelines that were updated, for example, in the beginning there was not even masks in elderly care. If anyone can believe that, this is actually how it happened in Sweden. So many elderly people died in elderly care homes because the staff was not even wearing masks. Anyway, so such things were happening. Now it's not so much like that. It's a bit better in some ways. Maybe we contributed to that. So we can always actually be proud of what we have done and how much we fought. So yes, thank you, and I hope that everyone has a great summit, and I hope I can be with you also on the summit. So